I believe it was around Thanksgiving, and now it is almost New Year's. So it is time for my big fat bar of chocolate part 2. This time, chocolate bark. Well, I had a middle school student ask me to bring in some spicy chocolate. So I guess the next time I substitute in middle school for 7th grade, I'll have to be sure I do that. But in the meantime, I would also like to make coffee bark. If you like chocolate-covered coffee beans, which I love, but I've tried making them at home and they're just too hard and crunchy. I don't know. So this is my substitute for that, coffee bark. I grind like regular coffee, very, very fine. Okay? And then I will melt my dark chocolate and I will stir in some of the finely ground coffee. My plan is to melt this chocolate and then divide it in 2 parcels. Use part of it with the cayenne or the chipotle and then the other half with the coffee. You can also use cayenne and cinnamon. I've done that before for sort of Mexican chocolate. But I think, since this was a special request, I will just do the straight-up chipotle powder. So let's get this melted. There's some chocolate, chopped up chocolate that stuck to the bottom of this. I've had that chopped up chocolate in this jar for, I don't know, a week. Anyway, I have a plan for this. I'm going to make myself a mocha latte, which I discovered how to do last week. So what I'll do is, tomorrow morning, I will make my mocha pot, Bialetti, the mocha pot, on the stove of strong coffee. I will pour the coffee in here, stir it up, and then I will heat up my milk and use my nifty little frother to make a latte. So I'll have a mocha. There's not a thing you can do with overcooked chocolate except maybe to cry. So I keep checking it to make sure that it's not getting overcooked. And this is pretty good now. I'm going to stir it up, divide it into these 2 bowls. This was only 2 cups of chocolate and not solid chocolate either. So it's not going to make a very big batch. All right, we have our 2 separate bowls here. There's not much chocolate, so I'm not going to use as much. If it was a whole batch, here's what I would use. I would use probably a ½ teaspoon of chipotle. But since it's just a small batch, 1/4 teaspoon of chipotle. Even that seems like a lot, but chocolate can handle a lot of heat before you really notice it. Okay, and then as far as the coffee, the amount doesn't matter quite as much. That was a teaspoon. Yeah, it's going to be nice and crumbly, the texture on that. So I'll stir this. I may need to warm it up just a little bit. It's not very liquidy. How about this one here? Yeah, that one's okay. That one's okay. I'll stir it up. I will use a spatula to scrape it out and put it on wax paper. Wax paper this time. When I do my baking, it's parchment, but for chocolate, it's wax paper. Let's spread this out. That's what it looks like before I've spread it out. I did have to warm it up just a teeny bit more. The easiest way to spread this out, instead of, trying to spread it with a spatula or a spoon or a knife, is simply to put another piece of wax paper over the top and pat it out. Or you could, you know what, you could even use a rolling pin to make it nice and flat. Let's do that. Roll it. Okay, that didn't work. There's lids. There's lip on there. There, now it'll work. So, I'm rolling out my chipotle bark. Let's make it nice and thin. The rolling pin, we can do that. Alright. This is only going to take a few minutes in the refrigerator, as cold as my kitchen is. Maybe 5-10 minutes in the refrigerator, and then we can break it into pieces. And the same procedure with the coffee bark. I think this time I'll just fold it over and roll it with the rolling pin again. Up to the edges. Oh! Okay, possibly there's a reason why I used 2 pieces of wax paper. Okay, we'll pretend that didn't happen. And I'll put this in the refrigerator. The other one is probably ready to go now. Another reason why I should have made a bigger batch, like chopped up a whole quart of chocolate, is because chocolate is a mess to clean up. It's all that cocoa butter in it. And tiny little bit of chocolate bark for quite a bit of mess, not really worth it. Sometimes I try to score the bark with a pizza cutter. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't work. Okay, so we'll score it. Then we'll see if we can break it along those lines. Boy, this is a tiny batch. Dakota, I'm not sure this is even enough just for you. And let's see if I can break that along the lines. Oh, yeah, that breaks beautifully. There we go. It's not very much chocolate. I'm sort of disappointed in that. I'll break them in smaller. And you know what? That's thicker than I usually make it. For some reason, I think we're going to blame my cold kitchen. I just couldn't get the chocolate, or maybe that it was too small amount of chocolate. I could not get it as liquidy as usual. Usually the chocolate's very runny, and I can spread it really, really thin. Didn't quite turn out. As far as how it tastes, yeah, first it just tastes like regular chocolate, and then there's a bit of a kick to it. Okay. Now let's see if the other one, the coffee chocolate, is a lot more crumbly than this. So let's put this in a little bag. No, let's put it in a glass jar. Let's go get the other one out. Honestly, it only took a few minutes. Notice how it's shiny where I didn't have wax paper on it? Interesting, huh? Alright, so same thing. Let's score it. And then we'll break it. Score it again the other way. I am not going for even at all. That's alright. I have to make them smaller. I'll probably take these into school too. There's a few girls who are crazy about the chocolate-covered coffee beans, and these are a lot cheaper than buying them, and a lot easier than trying to cover them yourself. All right, let's get another little jar. Remember, we started with 2 cups of bark, or 2 cups of chopped chocolate. We should end with 2 cups of bark. Let me have a taste of this. I haven't tried this for a long time. And is there enough coffee in there? Yeah, you could put in even a little more coffee, I think. That's good. And that's it. If you want to make a really easy bark, this would probably make a good gift if you cut it up a little better, maybe decorated it, swirled it or something. Other good things to make bark with are toasted almonds, any kind of toasted nuts really, dried fruit, raisins, cranberries, anything like that. Until next time, this is Lori Fichter from My Indiana Kitchen. Ciao.